German bug hidden beneath this formed mahogany body. Every inch of it is hand-rolled, and it took 8,000 hours to build. And just about as many hours went into Casper's Ghost. It's enough to make you pale. Beneath all that chrome is a motorcycle. Last word in beach buggies, surfboard and all. Or do you prefer this one-seater built for two? One of the most famous custom cars ever built is the Weirdo put together for the Munsters. It may not get many miles in a Goulon, but it's fine for a ghost-to-ghost trip. Topping the custom cars is the $70,000 look into the future. But remember, for that price, you get 2 cigarette lighters as standard equipment. This is the night that Hollywood holds the world spotlight. The annual Academy Awards and the bestowing of the coveted Oscars has a glittering audience on hand to hear Audrey Hepburn announce the best actor. Rex Harrison, of course, receives his statuette for his role of Professor Higgins in My Fair Lady, chosen as the best picture of the year. Audrey was his leading lady. It's a popular choice with the crowd that next year Sidney Poitier named the best actress. Julie Andrews played opposite Rex Harrison in the stage version of My Fair Lady. Passed over for the movie role, she played Mary Poppins and parlayed the part of that bouncy governess into tonight's triumph. As Bob Hope put it, Hollywood is handing out foreign aid. Both winners are great.
Oh, this is lovely. I know you Americans are famous for your hospitality, but this is really ridiculous.
In a year of many outstanding movies, it was a chore to pick the winners. The night of the Oscars was 1966, a year that will be remembered for a multitude of events, all of which helped to shape our life and times. 1966, a tapestry of people, places, and things. 1966, documenting a kaleidoscope of cause and effect, progress and stalemate, joy and grief, triumph and tragedy.
In 1966, the Vietnam War erupted into a tragedy of epic proportions. Standing firm, Lyndon Johnson explained why in his famous Domino Theory inaugural address.
We will stay because in Asia and around the world are countries whose independence rests in large measure on confidence in America's word and in America's protection. To yield to force in Vietnam would weaken that confidence, would undermine the independence of many lands, and would whet the appetite of aggression. We would have to fight in one land, and then we'd have to fight in another, or abandon much of Asia to the domination of communists. And we do not intend to abandon Asia to conquest.
South Vietnam became the cornerstone in our battle with communism, and the war intensified to a fever pitch.
Men of the 1st Cavalry Airmobile Division begin their 4th week of Operation White Wing, a vast search and destroy mission 300 miles northeast of Saigon near Bong Son. This particular mission is to take and hold a village near Highway 1. No sooner do the copters leave than the soldiers come under sniper fire. They're pinned down until a call goes out for aerial support and fighter bombers move in. Heavy air strafing quickly cleans out the threat of snipers halting the advance, and it's not long before scouts can report that it's safe once more to advance through the dense jungle. Near the village, men of the 1st Cavalry wipe out Viet Cong fighting a rear guard action. They killed 27 in the advance and took 78 suspects. When the men finally enter the village, they find everything quiet on the surface. The first step in pacification of the settlement will be to move civilians to safer areas, to encampments where they can't be the target of Viet Cong revenge. Under United States and South Vietnamese plans for social and economic reforms, the people will live where it is safe until this area is secured and sufficient sufficient farm tools and food made available for them to begin a new life. So far, this operation has been one of the most successful. 789 communists have been killed and 200 captured, and hundreds of civilians have found new security. French President Charles de Gaulle goes to Moscow, urging French-Russian unity to reduce East-West tensions. In the same year, he evicts NATO from France. His decision has vast political, economic, and social significance. Army installations employed thousands of Frenchmen. New locations are found in Belgium, the Netherlands, and West Germany, while NATO's problems are worked out. The future of Florence, Italy will include at least 20 years of repair and restoration following the worst single art catastrophe in the history of man. An unprecedented flood wreaks havoc on this world center of Renaissance art. An international army of volunteers works tirelessly at the monumental task left in the wake of nature's terrible rampage. And a human rampage spreads death and terror across the University of Texas campus. 24-year-old student Charles Whitman goes berserk, shooting from the top of the 28-story tower. Victims are hit at the rate of 1 every 3 minutes. Men, women, children, all are targets. The crazed sniper sends bodies crumpling to the ground everywhere for over an hour. Finally, Whitman is shot dead by Austin police. One afternoon's tragic total, 16 dead, 33 wounded. In Rome, man's ecumenical spirit is demonstrated in this meeting between Pope Paul VI and the Archbishop of Canterbury. The first such meeting in 4 centuries. Mutual esteem is evidenced by the symbolic kiss of peace. The wedding of the year unites 19-year-old Lucy Baines Johnson and Patrick Nugent. The couple first met at a White House party. Later, Pat returns to college, and Lucy becomes an Austin, Texas housewife, hopefully to await the arrival of the president's first grandchild. But all the year's earthly events are eclipsed by America's achievements in space. The flight of Gemini 8 is under command pilot Neil Armstrong, the first civilian astronaut. And for him and his fellow astronaut, David Scott, the 3-day orbit is the most complex yet planned in the U.S. space program. Their schedule calls for docking with the Agena rocket on the 4th orbit, with the link-up to continue throughout the night. Then it is programmed that Scott will stroll in space for more than 2 hours, while he sets up radiation devices on the nearby Agena and works with special tools. This to determine how well a man can work in a weightless state. The Agena launch is perfect. Each stage is destined to fire on the button. It climbs like a newly freed bird to its planned orbit 185 miles above the Earth. Meanwhile, the Gemini countdown proceeds without a hitch. Another perfect takeoff. The tens of thousands of workers had occasion to be proud. The Gemini rendezvoused with the Agena on schedule. Just 6 hours and 34 minutes after Scott and Armstrong left Cape Kennedy, they locked in on the Agena, and Armstrong told the ground in triumph, it was a real smoothie. These are the extraordinary movies made by automatic cameras as Gemini 8 sighted the Agena rocket 185 miles above the Earth. It's hard to believe that both craft are traveling at a speed of 17,295 miles an hour. Now the Gemini will move in front of the Agena, turn, and point its nose at the flashing lights that mark the docking aperture. It's a weird sensation. Both spacecraft will pass from sunlight to darkness to sunlight again. In the Gemini window, you can see reflections from inside the capsule. The original programming called for an all-night link-up of the two vehicles and a spacewalk of more than 2 hours for Major Scott. This looked like the smooth as silk curtain raiser for the ambitious flight. The lights in the docking collar and the riding lights on each side give a visible target as Gemini comes closer and closer. In about 9 seconds, you'll see the lights disappear. That's the actual docking. For a half hour,
far, both craft held steady. The astronauts had told the ground everything was very stable. Then, number 8 thruster acts up. A violent oscillation sets in, and Armstrong wrestles the Gemini free with his re-entry rockets. He was ordered down by Mission Control, and the men landed their space vehicle within 2 miles of a target area. They were taken aboard the destroyer Mason within 3 hours. It was a jubilant and happy ending to 3 excruciating hours of suspense after the thruster malfunction.
America was watching the skies as the race to see who would be first on the moon entered its final phase. Sights like these, once the domain of science fiction movies, became commonplace occurrences to the average American. But there was little time for reflection, because someone was always right behind us.